I still remember my career counselor at the Macomb School of Business telling me that she would not switch me from the business school to communication school. Like, she would not approve my transfer because she wanted me to think about it. And she said, we have a waiting list of people that want to get into Macomb's and you want to actually transfer out to the communication school. And I was very adamant. I went home, I came back the next day and I said, yes, ma'am, I do want to switch. And that was the first bold bet that I remember making. And I was so proud of it because I knew that while on paper it may not have made sense to her, for me, the professors I was meeting at communication school, at UT, and the experiences that I was having, and I'd just been sitting in their classrooms, right, just auditing these classes, and those professors, those were the ones that I wanted to learn from. That is where I was vibing. That is where I felt like I was going to really, really learn and enjoy and make the most of my experience. And I'm so glad I did, because if it had not been for that transfer, I would not have done my thesis on Twitter when it had 2,000 users. So that was my first bold bet. My second bold bet came when I started a company at 22 instead of choosing a traditional safe path. I could have gone work for consulting and Bain and McKinsey, but they kept asking me, what is Twitter? Nobody understood what social media was. This was before Instagram, before TikTok, before even the iTunes store. It was really, really early days. So when I put out my shingle at 22 years old, having zero experience in business or really anything else for that matter, it was a really bold move and it went totally against all convention. But I'm so glad that I did, because in less than 3 years after I'd started that company, I'd made my first million. I made my first million before I turned 25. And of course, so many amazing things came about because of that decision to start a company at 22. But it was a bold bet and it was not the traditional choice. The third bold bet that I made in life was walking away from a very long-term relationship that technically didn't have anything wrong with it. And I remember people being very confused and questioning me and saying, like, why would you leave this? You know, what's wrong? And I would tell them nothing is wrong. This is not bad. It just isn't right for me. And I knew that in my gut. My intuition was telling me that it was not right for me. It was time for me to leave. And you know, you go through a phase where you're like, did I make a mistake? Was this the wrong decision? But looking back, I am so grateful that I made that decision, because I would not be married to the man of my dreams. I would not have 2 wonderful children. I would not be living this amazingly bold, fun life in Miami that I get to live. And all of this happened because I was able to bet on myself time and time again. Because here's the truth. I knew no matter what the outcome was, I would embrace it. I would find the learning in it, and I would have been so grateful that I did it my way.